Hello and welcome to this episode of the Connection Compass. I'm your host, Andrea Louise Evans. This week, I'm joined by Rafaela Nunes, the founder of ThreadUp, a private therapy practice in Manchester dedicated to supporting creative individuals through mental health and emotional challenges. Rafaela has a unique way of blending her love for creativity, connection and compassionate guidance, and today we dive into everything that lights her up. We explore Rafaela's journey from the vibrant streets of Rio to the creative energy of Manchester, her experiences growing up in a fashion atelier, and the magic she witnessed along the way. We talk about the highs and lows of being a creative, navigating vulnerability, and the lifelong practice of self-compassion. Rafaela also shares her vision for ThreadUp, the long-term journey of supporting creatives and the ways in which the creative process itself can bring heart, connection and purpose into our lives. Hello, Rafaela. Welcome to the Connection Compass. It's so lovely that you're here. How are you today? Are you okay?
I'm good, thank you. Very excited about this. It's been a little while since we first spoke to this happening. So it's nice that it's finally here.
It's come around quick. So for our listeners, please could you tell us about yourself, please?
My name is Rafaela. There's where to start talk about myself. I'm not the most concise of people.
It doesn't matter. Go for it. Yeah, just don't hold anything back.
I'm a woman. I'm a Latina. I'm Brazilian. I wear many different hats, but I'll be focusing on, I guess, what I do, who I am and how that led to what I do, because that's what kind of brought us together.
Yeah.
I am a counselor and psychotherapist, and things that I love are moving, music. I think that's in my roots. It's definitely there. It's definitely part of me. It's like breathing. It needs to happen, however small or big. I have a lot of energy. I have an absurdly loud laughter. Let's see if that comes out today or not. And it's not on you. Sometimes it comes out. I can be told that I cackle when I laugh out loud. Yeah, I'd say I'm a person with a lot of energy. Whoever knows me probably would describe a bit of that. So I'd say that I've got I'm optimistic and upbeat energy, mostly, but I have my down days too. On the down days, trying to keep the faith and connecting with the things that I love. Being in nature, I mean, I live in a city, but there are places that I can escape to that really help me to connect with being in nature. Here it's right now is autumn, so seeing the changing colors and when our sky is so grey.
One of the best things about Manchester is that you don't have to go very far, do you, to find the green.
That is very true. It's very true. And I value that very much after living 18 years in the rural part of the north of England. And I guess that's a continuation from where I come from Brazil, always being on the beach, nature, the force of nature, the power of nature, and the healing and soothing power of nature is very important to me. What else about me? Yeah, I think you got some good thread there.
Yeah, definitely.
I said I was going to go into what I do, but then I reminded myself, no, I'm a person before everything that I do.
Absolutely. No, it's an absolute pleasure. I just love hearing about you. Whatever you bring, it doesn't, it's amazing. I am really fascinated because before you came to Manchester, well, a long time ago, you lived, well, as you said, you're from Brazil and you lived in Rio. And I've never been to Rio, but I was telling you about the photography exhibition. This was in Ecuador. So I was in Ecuador and there was this big photography exhibition on, and it was about Rio at 3 a.m. in the morning. It was really raw. So I'd love you to tell me about your life in Rio and how you came to Manchester.
So, that's a huge time. Just got this. So life in Rio, It was a beautiful life in regards to feeling very free, and you would think, oh, a young woman feeling very free in Rio.
Mhm.
But my experience was really experiencing childhood, playing out in the street, climbing trees in places that we shouldn't, pinching fruit off grandma's neighbors' guavas, and being very careful not to be found out because we would be told off. All of that kind of stuff of what people maybe would say of yesteryear childhood. I definitely had that. And it's, they're beautiful memories to go back to. I was very much, believe me or not, then settling in Manchester, I was very much a beach rat. Oh my
Beach
days.
rat.
Could not get me off a beach. And, you spoke about seeing these exhibition that you saw of Rio at 3 a.m. and how raw and powerful that was.
Yeah.
If I'm very honest, I had a very privileged life. Brazil, so I was very sheltered from. I wasn't one to be hanging out. Now there is quite a tourist offer in
Mhm.
visiting favelas and going to places where were no-go zones. I can't say that those were places that I frequented. I studied in private school and had a really privileged
Mhm.
life, which is quite a paradox to having a
Mhm.
very privileged life in a non-developed or developing country, then coming to Britain and actually
Mhm.
experiencing real hardship. It's a real paradox
Yeah.
in a developed country.
Yeah. In Rio, when you said that you had that very free feeling,
Mm.
have you managed to capture that feeling in Manchester? Or
Oh,
how can
yes.
so you've been able to transfer it across. So how like, I'm really interested, like, how?
I mean, why was it very free? It was very free in the sense of, as a child, it was very free and it was
Mm,
very playful. And I loved playing with friends and doing these things that I said, but also imaginative games. And uh,
mm,
when we were in the club that, my parents had a membership for, I lived either on the beach or there and was playing all the time and experiencing just, sun and fun. I always loved
mm,
fun, laughing, playing. That as a young woman, so that as a child, I
mm,
very much experienced that because I could go to the countryside where my grandparents were, and it was a different pace than
mm,
Rio. In Rio, you were very free, but you were very free, in your condominium, in the club, but then as a young woman, you do start to get to explore more, and you are able to do more on your own,
mm.
and you are confronted with violence and with what your parents always tell you, be careful, don't go in that street after that time,
Yeah.
which is no different from any other city. But when you speak of transferring that to
Mm,
here, I very much value the freedom that I feel in my practice, for instance, my counseling practice, a private practice, and I can open it or close at any time of day or night. You drive up and down the country without a second thought of,
mm.
do I feel safe? Do I not? But I was receiving family here last weekend, my
Yeah.
cousin, and it's very funny how we have Rio in us. We went. Where did we go? We went somewhere and we left some stuff in the car. So no, put in the boot, and we're like, yeah, put in the boot. Don't leave anything exposed. And we just had a giggle about that. Yeah, we are from Rio, aren't we? We're like just always looking at.
You can take the Rio out the girl, but you can't take the
Built, it's not that you stop living and not
Yeah.
that you live scared. That was not my experience, but you are told to be careful, these things happen. And, things do
Yeah.
happen or happen to people around you or even with you at times. And you do learn, like, there are things that you do not do. You just don't
Mm,
stop open to that. So we had a bit of a giggle about that. But transferring this freedom is also about what I'm able to do in my life. How am I able to be playful and imaginative? I do believe
I want to ask you another question as well. So I don't want to presume, but I'm kind of wondering if we're around the same age, maybe.
44.
Oh, right. I'm a little bit older. Sorry. I'm
That's okay. That's okay.
so,
I'm a
yeah.
menopausal woman.
So
Uh,
I'm 50. So I turned 50 in June. And I'm just wondering, when I see kind of the younger people today, and they seem to have so much on their shoulders. And I don't think we had that when we were younger. And we did have everything was about fun.
mhm. Yeah.
You were on the beach. I was probably rolling around in some field, something like in some soil, like but and it's funny, I was thinking about this earlier today. We were out like all hours and like just in the street and just playing on bikes and
That still
we
exists.
had so much fun.
That still
Yeah.
exists. My
Y-
youngest son lives like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not here, not in Manchester. He spends the week with his dad in Buxton, where I lived
Mhm.
before. And it's a rural town, and that is
Yeah.
exactly what you described there in the fields and the bike. That's exactly what he does. Goes to the
Good.
mud ramps and builds them, jumps off, breaks his bones from them, and I'm really happy that that is the case. It's a little
Mhm.
bit of that life that we experience that we're talking about here, and all of that you're talking about, the worries and
Yeah.
concerns and this weight on our shoulders of our current society, our current uh,
Mhm.
climate in all aspects of living.
And do you get to go to the beach here in England?
I went to the beach in England. I can't. Oh no, yes, I can remember. It was the beginning of the summer. So yes, I do. And I did have a very cold dip.
It
I did.
wasn't quite Rio, wasn't a Rio beach.
No, but I'm like, sod it. I'm here. I'm doing it.
So you have an enterprise at ThreadUp,
Mhm.
yep. Can you tell
Okay.
me
Yeah.
about that? How you set it up? What led you to set it up?
So the social enterprise was a consequence of supporting artists and creatives in my private practice.
Mhm,
Through my studies, you asked me what made me end up here in Manchester. Well, I lived in Buxton before. I
mhm,
did counseling and psychotherapy. I wouldn't have been able to have clients there because I lived there for 18 years and the
yeah,
cousin of the friend and
mhm,
everyone, in a small town. And particularly what I wanted to do, there are no placements. Nobody offers you a placement for, oh, come and support the mental health and well-being of creatives and artists. That doesn't exist.
mm,
There are no modules in counseling and psychotherapy that focuses specifically on creatives and artists.
mhm,
So, but I knew that that was something I wanted to do. I
mhm,
just knew it made sense when we were being asked what kind of placement you want to take in our studies. For me, that was just, I want to support artists, I want to support creatives. But it was a bit like, we're going to do that. We don't offer any placements that is specifically to them. And to my knowledge, I don't know, your listeners might have, I haven't done this current research, but to my knowledge, that is still the case. But it made sense to me. So setting up my practice was quite a process, was very difficult. Studies, academia for me was always very difficult since a kid. And I really needed to be at it. But I did it and I set it up and it's been running for the past 7 years. That is the practice. And then about 3 years ago, when supporting artists, when on a one-to-one basis, when hearing about their struggles and what they're experiencing, it was about creating another structure that met the needs of this community, not just on a one-to-one basis, but that
okay,
expanded that offer. So it made sense to do that. And the why that happened was, I believe, is just a continuation of what that was. When there is a place where you can offer that support on a one-to-one basis, you get to know what's happening around them, what's happening for them.
Yeah.
you can support in a bigger sense. And
Yeah.
it's about creating that.
What are creatives and artists, what are they experiencing? Do they obviously they're people that tend to work in isolation, would you say? Or do they, what do they experience?
Yeah. So, I mean, every creative, every artist is a unique person and has a different experience. But there is some aspects, a commonality of experience that, we definitely see people who support artists and creatives see, like absolutely working in isolation when they are freelance and self-employed, financial hardship, if you
Yeah.
don't have a backing. Many have left other jobs that set them well financially and that is stable, but others, that's what all of they've done their entire lives, and
Mhm.
that financial stability follows or can follow. So financial instability is a really big one. Isolation, absolutely, because they can get really lost in a
Yeah.
process. And then, okay, but there is other aspects of life that need attention too. Imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
perfectionism, all of those are really common, in this cohort, for sure.
Yeah.
Comparison, constant rejection,
A lot of rejection.
a lot of
Yeah.
rejection, and that's really tough when you are giving something very intimate of yourself.
Yeah. And what do you think, and I suppose this question's for you as well, and perhaps reflecting on the people who you support as well, is you've built this practice up over 7 years, and how have you kept yourself going? Who have you had to become, or what have you had to embrace? And I think the same for the community who you're serving as well, because they will have to tap it, they will somehow mirror that, I'm sure.
That's a great question, because to serve, you do need to look after yourself,
Yes.
right? To support others, you do need to put the, you know,
Oxygen mask on.
first. Okay, I'm good. Now I can support you for sure. I'd say that my self-care game is strong, and I saw this being something of value very early on. And I believe that because of the way I'm configured, I have ADHD, and I was only diagnosed a year ago. So
Okay.
in life, I learned, when I said I struggled with academia,
Yeah.
I had the diagnosis that made a lot of sense, but it didn't stop me.
Mm.
So I had to find ways that things worked for me in the way that suited me, my temperament, my characteristics, and overcome some stuff. But self-care, pacing myself, we can have a very complex, even chaotic, loud internal landscapes, and that absolutely can be reflected on creatives and artists' experience. You're right. And when that is so, you have to be really careful for that not to be reflecting your outer reality, running on that kind of energy, because it can be, I'm not saying that a bit of chaos is a detrimental thing. Sometimes that's when the good stuff comes from.
Yeah,
Uh,
sometimes it can get unruly though,
that is it. It's when it becomes harmful, when it becomes unhelpful, and knowing when that line is for you. And that is at the core of it. Where is that line for you? I d-
Yeah.
live, we live in the world where we have so much information about how to look after yourself, about self-care, about what is right and what to eat. And that is lovely
Mm.
as it works for you.
It's really important to listen to yourself, isn't it? And what is right for you, and what you find nourishing, I might not find nourishing, and vice versa. So it's really important that we have that strong connection with ourselves.
Absolutely. And work around that. Being neurodivergent can bring a lot of shame to your experience. Why can't I? Why can't I work in that pace? Why can't I produce? And asking yourself, an artist can, that's quite a commonality as well, the comparison. And you really need to come back to, but this is what is right for me. This is what resonates with me. This is what aligns with me. And it might be
Yeah.
from others. That's not wrong. That's not bad. That's not shameful. It just is.
Yeah. So have you found yourself on a journey of becoming more compassionate toward yourself and not saying why can't I do this, but just saying, well, this is me and this is how I can do it. So have you found yourself on a bit of a journey of self-compassion and self-acceptance, really, which is a big
I'm
part of
still on that
grief.
journey. On that journey. I believe I'll be, until I draw my last breath, I'll be on that journey. Because sometimes you can offer that to yourself much more generously, and sometimes that can be challenging. But for sure, the reason that the self-care is strong is because there is compassion. Today's not the day, Rafaela. Today's not the day that you can,
Yeah.
let's just get through today, and then tomorrow we'll start again. Being good at, okay, what tools do we have here today to deal with this that is feeling unsurmountable? Oh, it's not. And it's tomorrow, it's a whole new chance to start again. And patience that require, I always say to my clients that patience is a form of compassion. Patience with yourself. If you look within and it's gotta be now and I gotta be productive and I gotta be doing and I gotta be, but if you are okay, if you have that level of patience, then perhaps tomorrow you'll be able to do all of these things and more.
Yes.
Today
Yeah.
is not the day.
Yeah, something I've experienced that this week. I think earlier in the week, I literally felt like I had an axe in my hand. I was had like a really bad headache, and I just couldn't focus at all. And I was like, you know what? This is where I am today, and tomorrow it'll be different. It wasn't, but it was the day after that, and I did twice as much. So, it,
Right. You
but
probably are very happy to be out of it. It's like, yes, I'll happily do stuff.
and
Have that outlet.
there is something very freeing about that, actually, isn't there? I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you're not limiting yourself to in this moment I have to produce this thing this way because that can become a real self-critical and
Yeah.
diminishing and that doesn't feel good. No motivation can comes from shaming oneself, does it? It just
No.
keeps you down, it just keeps you going
Yeah,
lower, perhaps.
definitely. You have done some work with the Edinburgh Fringe, haven't you?
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
tell us
Yeah.
about that experience? 'Cause again, that's amazing. I mean, it has an amazing energy, the Fringe, so
It
yeah.
does. It really does. And am I when we chatted before, you've been? No? You have
Yeah,
been
I
to Edinburgh?
have been, yeah, a long time ago, though. I had some friends that lived in Edinburgh, at the time before they moved to Skye, and then I used to go and see them. So,
Have some shows and
yeah.
absorb all of that energy. When you say it was a long time ago, I think that's a good place to start. The Edinburgh Fringe in its beginnings was art from the people to the people. And I believe that my place there of support also comes from it changed so much. Can be so hard for creatives to be there. Financially is absurd. It's non-viable and prices many of them out.
Oh, really? So they have to pay to go, do they? Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to pay to, where you're going to stay. But people leave their homes in the month of August to rent out their places and make months of money in one
Yeah.
go, in 1 month from renting their apartments, their houses. Just for you to have an idea, a stand-up comedian that really wanted to take her show, but was struggling financially as a working class comedian, paid £800 to pitch a tent on a patch of grass by the airport.
Wow.
Yes, £800 for the privilege of sleeping in the tent that water got in. I mean, it's Edinburgh, it rains.
Eh,
It's horrific. So then you can go and do your show.
yeah.
That's very demonstrative of what support they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Although it does show some incredible commitment. That
Absolutely.
person must have really wanted to do that.
But if we value art and if we value artists,
Yeah.
value creativity, we need to pay attention to
I
this. this should not be happening.
No, it shouldn't. I absolutely no. I hear you in total agreement with that.
Of course, they're committed.
Yeah.
Of them would sleep on the hanger on the hard floor or whatever. So it is very expensive, and that's a big thing, and that's something because I work on the ground. I'm on the ground a lot, and I talk to lots of artists and comedians as it's happening, which I love because you feel all of that energy.
Yeah.
But you also hear the conversations, and you hear, their accounts of how difficult. I mean, somebody who won, I think, a best newcomer or best show in one of the Ish Awards was working and doing her show in her lunch break. So she took her show and was working for the whole month and then doing her show in her lunch break. Now
Yeah.
that's, the story of the tent near the airport, those are real. Wow. That
Yeah.
commitment to your art, huh?
Absolutely. And do you get the sense that the drive that they have, is it directly from the heart? Is it heart? Is it real energetic heart work that you see in the creatives that are driving them to take these steps and do whatever they can to get their work out there to be seen? Would you describe it in that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they are always giving very intimate parts of themselves. So when we spoke about rejection and dealing with the constant rejection and imposter syndrome, they are offering something very personal all the time, very intimate, something very deep. And so when you are offering that, it is almost like bringing your heart and putting your heart in your here, take my heart. So I believe that that's very accurate because they are giving all of them in that piece that they created, in that show that they put, slugged over months doing and trying to overcome whatever challenges came for that to be possible. For sure. Not that this doesn't happen in other jobs, that people don't have that heart motivation, but it's not in the way that you are giving something so intimate and personal of yourself. And this is
Yeah.
why I believe that we as a society need to get way better at valuing artists and creatives. This is why I do what I do, because we all consume what they create, and what they create comes from the most intimate parts of themselves, is worth valuing. Even if you don't like that creative expression or the artistic expression, but the part of what they are giving and where it's coming from, that is worth being highly valued.
And what are your thoughts on what we could do better to support this hard work? What can we do as a society? I think I think I'm just wondering, Ariel, if sorry, I'm going slightly off on a tangent. I'm
Okay.
wondering if
Welcome to my internal world. It's part and parcel.
I'm wondering this and what you're explaining and about how as a society, we need to get better. We need to embrace this.
Mhm,
That actually, even though we're talking about creatives today,
mhm,
this actually applies to all of us
mhm,
in what we do
mhm,
as well. We just have a group of people here that really need this support, but actually, we probably need to extend it
mhm.
to the whole of our society.
For sure, for sure.
Because we do need something different in the world. That we need something different. We need more of this. We need more heart, don't we?
With more
And
heart.
and I think even though you might get a critic going, "No, no, that's too so," but we're in a terrible mess. So, what are your other suggestions? We need more heart. So we need to support people, don't we, more with their hearts. So, what are your thoughts about how we could do that? With
In
your
ge
I think we start with the creator like, with your creators group and then
Well, yeah, I believe that you said it, when we need more heart, and they provide that, you
yeah,
know? Just consider the exhibition that you
yeah,
went in Ecuador. It sounds like it resonated with you.
I must have gone about 3 times. The imagery was just so raw and just like, it felt like you were there in Rio.
So it had the power to transport you to a place that you haven't yet visited, but I'm sure heard a lot about. And there is just so much about it, about that place, about Rio. But it is the vision, it is the heart, it is the choice of that photographer that allowed that connection, that heart connection with you. Yeah. Without words, without, you just needed to see it, to feel it,
And
felt what it felt.
and if you think that was 2007, and I'm here still talking about it, had this amazing experience in Ecuador, went to this gallery.
This is the power of artists and creatives. This is the power of what they do. What they do with all of their heart, with all of their passion, and with all of their love serves us. This is why, for me, it feels like circumventing me supporting them. They do what they do initially. They experience these things that they experience. And I'm there to support them to continue doing these amazing things that they do so we can all, as a society, benefit. They give. So it's, yeah, can you see?
It's
Into one another.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
As a society, I honestly wrote a piece. It was published by British Comedy Guide. Yes, it was the British Comedy Guide last year. Last year, not this year. About this, about my belief that creatives and artists have the power to heal society as it stands at the moment because of what we're talking about right here, right now. How they touch us, what they create, what that create in us, what happens, the processes in our emotional connection to memories, to learning, to empathy, to compassion in the way that doesn't need words or teaching, or it's instant, it's there. We experience it.
Yeah. It's where human connection is, isn't it?
Yes. And I believe, so when you're saying in general, what that would look like, I believe that valuing artists and as a society, valuing them, appreciating what they are producing, what they are doing, investing more in that, I believe can give us solutions to what we're experiencing through this human connection, through this feeling moved, deeply moved. If you go and watch a piece, and it doesn't need to be spending a lot. I do believe that art and creativity is looked at like it's a very expensive thing. I support them. I can't afford going to the National Theatre. Once in a while, I may be able to afford a more high-end, West End, whatever. But this is not my reality day to day. So what can I do? Well, I look around me and there is lot happening. There is exhibitions in halls, in community spaces. There are talks that people are giving. There might be a jam going on somewhere. There is Matt and Fred's. There is free every night apart from Fridays and Saturdays. There is stuff to be appreciated that is still accessible. But as a society, we tend to, that's not for me. That's not accessible to me. But if we are shown how to connect with that and how that can be accessible, don't get me wrong, I would have high-end shows much more accessible because I believe that so many stories would resonate with so many people and make them reflect on their own situation and how they behave and maybe, just maybe, put something better into the world because they felt they were seen in their pain or in their struggle through an art piece, through a play.
In doing this work, what do you love about it the most?
I think you can just hear it, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can, yeah. I was just, is there anything specific that, no, you absolutely do.
Artists and creatives are just fascinating. They have always been fascinating to me. I grew up in a fashion atelier. My grandma, absolutely what she created was magic. I witnessed magic. People would come in, not knowing what they wanted. She would draw it. Is that something like that? Then would measure them, then would help them to pick up the fabric and discuss what the structure. And then a couple of weeks later, and then now there's then the creative process, right? That's the beginning of the creative process. And then she would then delegate to the many women that worked with her. It was a big team of all women. So I grew up around this women energy, and she would delegate. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, that person would come and put that on. And it might have been a wedding dress. It might have been a suit. It might have been in the times, in the 80s, in the 90s, that was a thing, that if you wanted something special, you went to somebody to design and make it for you. So that's my first experience of really understanding the power of the creative processes. Of course, I wasn't aware of it. I was only a little one just sitting beside her as she's doing all of that. And later on, my brother in amateur theater in school. And then I was so proud and so nervous to watch him. I knew what was going on behind the scenes. I knew he was nervous. I knew he had to learn his lines, and, all of that. Again, I was witnessing and by osmosis absorbing. And so all of these practices and all of these processes are really powerful processes that are worth, in my heart, are worth being supported, valued, protected.
That's incredible. And I know you get involved in lots of different projects, haven't you? Could you share another project with us that you've been involved in?
Yes, so we just finished a 2-year project in Manchester called Myriad.
Yeah.
So this was an incredible, a very vast project touching lots of different cultural arts organizations, mental health organizations, bringing them all together in this big project that at its heart was, as a consequence from the pandemic, noticing the inequality experienced from people from global majority communities in receiving the support. Then it became that lots of creative practitioners in Manchester offer mental health support, well-being support, let's say, to lots of different communities, global majority and otherwise. But this project was specifically global majority focused. But there's lots of creative practitioners working in participatory art that support communities. So let's say menopausal women go to a sewing class, and, through their sorority, being around other women, can really talk about their struggles, and as that they are making a really great, gorgeous tote bag, or really blinging up a jacket that's just been in the cupboard, or another group that might be supported to do some storytelling, and then their stories of struggle might come up. So, for instance, these practitioners and other artists in Manchester from global majority communities were not only serving these communities, but were from global majority communities themselves. So this project came to give them a space to upskill their cultural competency. So working with different cultures in the work that they do, and feeling confident that they can meet the needs, the cultural needs of these communities. So working in a culturally competent way, in a trauma-informed way. My, ThreadUp Kick's purpose here, I myself delivered the segment that was a peer support group for global majority artists and creatives.
Yeah.
Experience a space where they could speak about their struggles in being from a global majority, working in the cultural sector, how that was met, how that was supported or not. Things that we spoke about here, in being freelance, in working in isolation, the financial hardships, the homogenous nature of people in power in the culture and arts.
Yeah.
All those were barriers, how to, and how that impacted them. So I offered and facilitated this peer support group called Time to Reflect that was culturally appropriate and trauma informed. So in receiving this, that was in addition to them upskilling and working culturally competently, but also experiencing that for themselves. And I believe that that's really important to be embedded in culture and arts organizations, namely in every organization, but we are focusing on artists and creatives because that's the work that I do. And so that was an amazing project. I'm very excited to see the impact report. But it culminated in and I can always send to you, and if any of your listeners are interested, it culminated in the creation of this competency framework that was created. So there was like a checklist and websites and resources where you can check, okay, am I confident working with this? Am I confident working with neurodivergent communities? And it's like a cultural competency framework created. And so that's really, really great after these 2 years having that to provide. But I'm really excited about the impact report, really, because it was a really big project. Most of the arts and cultural organizations of Manchester and mental health organizations of Manchester became a consortium. They offered each other support or their space. I mean, Aviva Studios in Manchester, Factory International offered their space for the sessions.
And I imagine that's amazing because that's an amazing space, isn't it? Aviva Studio. Oh, we love it. We talked about it, didn't we? We love it.
Absolutely. So it was an amazing project to be part of. And it was, there was a little bit of my own imposter syndrome. Me? My organization, you want us to do that? You want me to do that? But it was incredible. And I met incredible artists that valued so much that space and also expressed that spaces like this shouldn't just be a one-off and part of a project. They should be embedded in the fabric of the culture and arts everywhere.
When will the impact report be ready?
Anytime now.
Anytime now.
In October, I haven't heard anything, so it's tantalizing close.
Brilliant. So soon, yeah. So hopefully, I'll check with you when the episode goes out. I'll check if it's available, and we'll put the details in the show notes, and we'll put the link into the framework as well. I think that would be really good for people to have a look at. So, what are your plans for the future? What have you got planned?
Oh, there are plans. There are plans. Well, I'm currently being really good with myself to study. I'm doing a breathwork course.
Oh, lovely.
Year-long breathwork course that is fantastic. They are usually a little bit quicker, but this one covers the physiology of the body, system, and I believe, crucially, with having worked at the Edinburgh Fringe for so many years and supported in some way, but I have been going since 2019. There are times that creatives and artists, they're talking about something doesn't quite cut the mustard or is not the right thing.
Yeah.
At the time of delivery, for instance, when they're delivering something, is not a time that many of them feel able, it is not accessible to talk about what is bothering them or what is not going well. But I do feel that the breath work really meets that release of that energy, of that, if there is any struggle or if there is any, that deep sense of rejection, this is not going well. That of course creates these sensations in our bodies, these feelings, emotions that we're trying to process and manage. And the breath work, I really do believe, has a great place to support creatives and artists at those times where talking about things is not accessible.
Yeah. It's an opportunity to soften, isn't it?
It's an opportunity to meet them where they are at. You can't breathe wrong.
No, you can't.
Can't breathe wrong. Breathe all the time. You can't breathe wrong. Well, you would be surprised, actually. And breathe through your nose. Through your nose. Mouth has no place here unless you're doing a breath work. But so that is something that made me go, okay, I need to give myself a little bit of time to dedicate to my studies. And it's a fantastic course because you have study buddies, assigned, and you have some time with them. I'm going to jump off here and go straight into a group with them. But also we have students from all over the world, and we have seminars from this lovely shaman from South Africa that comes to talk about breath work in original peoples, communities, in villages, in tribes, what that meant, what breathing and breath work was in regards to part of the community, how it was part of the community and how it was used, which is fascinating. If you're thinking that you're just studying breath work and you're gonna, oh, okay, we just breathe for trauma release. There's just so much more going on if this course really meets it. So I've slowed things down in order to be able to dedicate to this. But the biggest thing that's coming up, and slowly and little, I think I mentioned a little bit to you, and it was very much impacted by the delivery of Myriad, was that when I was delivering Time to Reflect to Myriad, it was with the global majority focus on that mental health and being culturally appropriate. I was very excited because I thought lots of Latinos will come through. There are lots of Latinos and Brazilians in Manchester, and I'll be able to meet them and provide this space for them as well. And not one came through. So that made me really, wait a minute, what's going on here? We definitely are present. We're definitely part of this city. And that's what's coming. We're really gearing projects specifically for Brazilian artists and creatives. How are we impacted? I interviewed a Brazilian also from Rio. He's a filmmaker and producer earlier this year. And he said, well, Brazilian art and in this city is seen as an alternative thing. But there are so many of us here that, sometimes there will be like, I don't know, a show or a film but it's like, it's on the alternative categories. It's just something seldom that happens. I'd like to change that because we are quite a big community. We are the second largest community, Brazilian community in Europe is in the UK. The first is Portugal. So I believe that there needs to be more understanding, first of all, because the myriad and not having them coming through the door really made me question why, what's happening, what are the barriers when you are receiving free support to do what you love. And so that's what is coming next. That's what the future holds, is really, and that does feel like all things that came before come together.
So starting to connect.
To lead me to where I need to be, which is paying more attention to my own community within where I am.
Rafaela, it's been amazing speaking to you. Thank you for your time and your energy today. It's been incredible. I just want to put the episode now.
My taco did come out twice.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you. And well done for this. You just had a 1-year anniversary.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. What another great conversation on the Connection Compass, full of curiosity, creativity, care, and connection, and truly inspirational. I always love hearing people's stories as where they have got to where they are and how they come to be in perhaps a place where it is different from when they started off. If you're interested in listening and hearing more about Rafaela's work, please check the show notes for the details of her work, along with the link to the impact report of the projects that Rafaela was talking about, Myriad. And thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Connection Compass. If you think it will help someone else, please leave a review. If you have any questions, please visit Andrea L. Evans' Facebook page. And remember to keep talking, keep connecting for a more interconnected world.